My lords, my ladies, welcome back to the ICEcast. My name's Rick, and this episode is very special to me. I just spent the last hour and a half talking with my grandpa, who some of you know as Lum Atkinson. We got to talk a lot about things that he didn't even remember, so to speak. We talked about growing up in Alabama a little bit. We talked about his love of baseball and coaching, being a volunteer fireman, being a Marine during World War II. And it was just really fun to sit down. Part of me wanted to edit the beginning while we were getting set up, but it was just so funny for him trying to figure out what we were doing. I'm just going to leave that in. So as soon as it starts, you're going to hear us kind of trying to explain what's going on the project. What else did he call it? Pod test? I don't know. But I think he had a better time than he'll admit. So, but it was only an hour and a half. I really think we could get a lot more out of him. I kind of ran out of questions. I had questions from other people that wanted to know things from him. So if you're listening to this and you enjoy this, please leave some stuff in the comments and just anything that I could possibly ask him again, because I'd love to get him on again. It was so much fun, and I think we could really dig deep into it, So I hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys are having a wonderful time, and let's just get right into it. Here's the ICEcast with my grandpa. All right, we should be good to go. After all that, you think I'd have had it done by now, but still new.
What are you doing this for?
It's for my podcast, and I think it's funny that Mom...
Your what?
The podcast. I've told you about this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a podcast. What it basically is... Podcast.
Podcast.
Cast. Like a cast.
TX.
C-A-S-T. I'm casting it.
Like a cast net.
So, when we're done, I will put it, on Facebook, and people can watch it and listen to us. It's basically AM talk radio.
You're taking pictures?
Eventually.
There's a video going, yeah.
What?
Right there. That little ring.
Oh, God.
See that?
Good thing you got your teeth in.
Wait, is it started?
It is started, yes. I normally don't introduce people because it's easier not to. But I told you should have had the headphones.
Well, give them to me. I don't know.
Gosh, I just want you to be able to understand me better.
Well, you have to talk where I can hear you. Understand you. I can't
I'm talking just fine. You can't hear.
mumble like
I don't mumble.
Kenzie does.
Where's your hearing aids?
They're not working.
Okay.
Well, where are the hearing aids you want me to wear?
Do you want to wear them? It's up to you.
See, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you're going to sound.
Let me make sure.
Like I say, I put them on. He puts them on.
They might be too tight. I want you to be comfortable. So just pop them on. Can you hear me all right now?
What?
How can you still not hear me?
You sound like
A robot?
oh yeah, God, how you turn it down?
Mackenzie, go around on the left ear and there's a volume. Turn it down a little. You see it?
Wait,
She's turning it down. Is that better?
you're mumbling again.
I said she's turning it
I
down.
hear you.
Turn it up now.
Oh God.
Not too high. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is that too loud?
Which one's where's it at?
Take his finger and show. Right there. There's a
This is low and then this is high.
Is that it right there?
yeah, it's like a little roll.
Up is
Oh,
going
say
high.
something.
I'm saying something.
Okay, do it again.
I'm saying something.
Okay.
Okay. Are we okay?
Come on, keep talking.
Okay. I'm trying. And now the phone's ringing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's kind of mumble.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to try this then. So we have a bunch of questions from people, but we're also just going to kind of get to know you so that people can get to know you better that aren't a part of the family. Because people that listen to what I do actually want to get to know you also. But we'll start easy. You grew up in Alabama, correct?
What do you consider growing up?
You were born in Alabama.
Yeah,
And where in Alabama?
Birmingham, Eastlake.
East Lake, Birmingham.
Yeah,
How long did you live there?
to 1942.
How old are you when you left?
I had to stop and think. About 14, 15, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, 26, 36, 46.
20 something?
Yeah.
That's what you just showed on your fingers.
1926 to 36.
Okay, so that's 10.
That's 10.
You left him.
And 36 is 4.
In the teens, we'll say. And did you guys come straight here?
John's Pass.
Right. You moved to John's Pass first.
Right.
And there was I'm trying to remember, you had a fishing shop or something? Like a bait shop? What did you guys have there?
Wayne did that when I was overseas in the service.
Oh, that was later then.
Wait, yeah. That was
Okay.
later.
Okay, so your time in Alabama, what was that like? Like, was there any?
What was that like?
Yeah.
It was beautiful in the summertime, miserable in the wintertime.
Did it get cold?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Right. One of the things that Tommy wanted to know.
Why don't he ask me?
I'm asking through him
Oh,
what it was like growing up in Alabama during the Great Depression.
I didn't know there was a depression.
You were too young at the time,
You know,
right?
I know my dad lost his job.
What was he doing?
He was a draftsman and worked for, at that time, he worked for the Alabama Power.
Right.
He worked for Birmingham Power, and they were bought out. I guess Alabama bought them out, and he worked for them. Depression came, he lost his job. So he did work a little bit with the WPA, and he also worked some with my grandfather. And then he got hired on, I guess, about 1940.
Right.
He went with Continental Gin. They made cotton gins.
hmm
He was a draftsman, and so that's, if you see some of his letters, postcards,
Right.
you can see it.
So he worked for a power company and lost a job because of the Depression. I don't see how that was. How was a power company affected?
You don't have money to pay a light bill. Okay, so they turn your lights off.
Right.
Okay, the first thing you know, you instead of having 500 people working, you've only got 300 working because people that can pay their bill, you get no
Right.
people on the
Okay, that makes sense then. I was trying to figure how it led to it. Okay, so you really don't remember as much about the Depression aside from the family going. Yeah.
I've been playing around and things,
Right.
You know, but I don't.
Mom said something about a hermit. Was that in Alabama?
Yeah. Back in the woods there was a guy who went up there and started building a cabin. We call him a hermit.
Right.
He was. I don't know what he was, but he was a loner.
Right.
He didn't stay there long. Just as far as I know, when we left, he was still there. But when we went back later on, when your mother, the foundation was still there.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if he ever completed the place or not. He could live in a tent.
Right. What was it? What was the reasoning to moving down here to John's Pass?
Well, Leon supposedly had a heart murmur, and Dr. Smith, our doctor up there, said go to Arizona or Florida.
Right.
So Arizona was out. Florida was. My grandparents had been coming to Florida for every winter for I don't know how long. Mother knew Florida. Her sister was living out at John's Pass, so that's where we came.
So you already had someone here, and
Yeah.
okay, That's pretty cool. Now, you mentioned Uncle Leon. That's your bro. That's the brother closest to you in age, right? You're the oldest?
What?
You're the oldest brother, right?
Him?
You.
Me, yeah.
And then it was Uncle Leon?
No, Warren.
Uncle Warren, then Uncle Leon, then Uncle Johnny. Okay. That's the four of you. And you all moved at the same time? Everyone came down?
Yeah. Johnny was just 3 or 4 years old, 4 or 5, maybe 5. I don't know.
Right. And that we'll say you were mid-teens. I'm going to go ahead and go to this subject. When did you, what age do you remember really falling in love with baseball?
I don't know. I went to the knothole gang that the Barons sponsored.
Mm-hmm.
I saved money and bought a catcher's mitt, and one of the neighbor kids had a catcher's mitt, and he and I used to play catch.
Did you ever get to go see the Barons games?
Did I what?
The Barons?
What about?
Did you ever get to go to a game?
Yeah, I saw Ted Williams playing
Wow.
one of the games. Then they traveled from wherever they were down here, spring training, going north. They played the Barons there. I saw
Right.
Ted Williams. I didn't know who he was, but I remember the people talking about that tall, thin guy out there in left field.
Right. The Barons I don't know if they were then, but they are now the minor league team for the Chicago White Sox, and that's my favorite team. Your favorite team is the Cardinals, right?
St. Louis Cardinals.
How long is it? Just forever has been?
That's the team we listen to on the radio. You know,
And who's your favorite? Stan Musial was your favorite player, right? Stan Musial was your favorite player?
who?
Stan Musial.
Stan Williams. Stan Musial.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I got older.
Okay.
But prior to that, why, it was all of the Cardinals. You know, I mean, I can think of all of them.
Just not all of them, right?
Yeah, it was a gas house gang,
Right.
you know. And Dizzy Dean was one of them. Oh, God, Fox.
Right.
Ted came along, not Ted, Stan came along after the war. When I met him, I started working at a gas station at John's Pass right after I came home.
You met Ted Williams out there?
Oh, Stan.
Oh, Stan Musial.
Yeah.
Really?
And the two Smedley brothers had this son, Bill and Glenn, and they grew up in Denora, Pennsylvania, and that's where Stan was from. They knew him. They went to school with him. He come out there to the gas station. That's how I met him. He didn't remember me later on.
Right.
Your mother saw him down at the Vinoy and got
The autograph for him.
autograph.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he knew that who she was because she knew the Smedleys through me, you know.
Right. Okay. And when you, how long after, okay, you were here in Florida, that's when you decided to go to the Marines also, right? Well, you were already in Florida before you went to the Marines, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't old enough.
Right. I want to talk about the Marines, but before I do, I'm going to stick into the baseball still. How long did you, or when did you start coaching Gulfport Little League?
Little League?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying
About 2 years after they
they started.
formed
Right.
the league, 2-3 years,
Right.
they approached me to run the minor league team they had. They didn't have a minor league team, and they had enough kids to form. So that's what I did.
Right.
For 2 seasons, 1 season, 2 seasons, and then they had a vacancy and asked me if I wanted to manage a team, and I said yeah.
Okay, so throughout your whole time in Gulfport Little League, you've coached, managed, umpired. President
What?
of the league also?
Yeah.
What else? Anything else?
3 times.
3-time president.
A year at a time.
Okay.
I mean,
One after the other.
no.
No.
One, then I went back to managing, and then I went back to for a year, and then I went back to managing, and the third time I wound up at Craig Towel.
Okay. I remember you coached me at least through, let's see, T-ball through majors, I think.
Who what?
You coached me from T-ball to majors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you left
When I left
to
majors,
go to Hoyt, that's when I said,
Right.
you need somebody else to coach you, and you had him on. So
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the questions from Tommy also, which is a pretty cool one. Who are some of the best baseball players that you've seen come through Gulfport Little League?
well, first one comes to mind is Tom Bonfield.
Okay. What was good about? What made him so good?
He was just a good ball player. And he went to St. Leo's College, played summer ball up in Northeast, Cape Cod,
Oh yeah.
and supposedly the Yankees had him under contract, told him, we'll put you in the minor league, but you're not going to make the big leagues with us. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. That was a story I heard.
Right.
And so he became a city manager in Temple Terrace in Tampa, I think. And then he wound up in, I think he's in Carolinas or somewhere up there.
Okay. Anyone else? Like, as you went on,
Oh, there's a bunch of them that were good, but
trying to think of who came. What was the pitcher? He played in Gulfport Little League. He ended up pitching for the Braves, I think. Todd Redmond.
Todd Redmond.
Yeah.
Todd was a good ball player. He only played Little League a couple of years, and then he went over to
RBI or something.
no, the school over there on the northeast side of town.
Oh. Northeast High School?
They got a good program, sports program,
Okay.
and that's where they took him.
All right. And what about Casey?
Who?
Casey.
Casey was a good one.
Yep.
Yeah. But, well,
Obviously, the best ones were Tommy and I. That was the best you've ever seen, right?
who?
Tommy and me. We were the best ever.
Yeah. Not really.
No.
Your grandmother thought you were.
Grandma thought I could
She
do
thought you
everything.
was a pitcher.
I was not a
Thought You
pitcher.
were the outfielder.
I was an outfielder. I was not a pitcher at all. I was good at first base, too. But left field was my best position. Okay. Let's see. We'll go back from baseball. When you went to become a Marine, when you enlisted, what made you decide to first serve?
Well, before we came down here, one of the guys that was in the neighborhood came home on leave, and he had been, I don't know if he was with Edison or Carlson Raiders, and he was on the canal. He got hurt. I don't know how bad, because he came home on leave, and his mother brought him over there to show him off to my mother, you know. And
Right.
show him, and that was the first time I can remember thinking anything about the Marines, but I just liked listening to him and what he went through. And,
You decided that you wanted to serve.
yeah, but I was only 15, I guess. Yeah,
Okay.
he was only 17 or 18.
Was that when you decided that you wanted to be a Marine also?
That was probably, yeah.
Okay.
I don't recall it.
Right.
Other than that, first time I ever saw anybody that was a Marine.
So you didn't really have any interest in any of the other branches? No. Okay. How long did you serve? How long did you serve?
I get about 6 years total with the reserve time and inactive time,
Right.
all added up. About 6 years.
And you had to, you were in one of the wars, right?
No, what?
You were in a war, right?
World War II.
World War II, that's right. And you were stationed in Okinawa?
Stationed there. I was there. I went to Tinian first. Actually, we went into Saipan first, and then we sent us in a little boat over to Tinian. By that time, Tinian had been secured, And I joined the battalion there, and we went from there, Okinawa, April the 1st, which was April Fool's Day, and Easter Sunday, all three on the same day. And we went into Okinawa there. And after that was secured, we went to China.
Okay. So you went into Okinawa to secure it. Okay. I thought you were stationed there for a while. No, you were.
No, it was wartime.
Right.
I mean, no, I wasn't stationed.
Okay, okay.
Like they are now.
Were you ever scared at any moment?
They're what?
Ever scared? Like anything specific? Aside from every day?
You weren't scared, you were fooled.
Right.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. What was the training like to prepare?
What, the Marine Corps?
Yeah.
You're a candy ass.
I know, that's what I'm asking.
It was great.
Oh,
Really. Yeah. I mean, I was scared to death of the
Right.
guys and all that, but it was good. It was good.
okay. What was your final rank and position?
Sergeant.
Sergeant. Okay. See, I don't know a lot about military stuff because I have a buddy that lives in Lakeland. He was in the Army. I had to ask him, like, what did he do? Was he mechanic or a paratrooper? I don't, stuff like that. What was it that you were? Were you just a rifleman?
All Marines have a MOS number that is a rifleman.
Rifleman.
From the commandant all the way down to the first Marine,
Okay.
newest Marine. And they're all riflemen. They have other MOSs. And the one I had, I was engineering. And we did whatever needed to be done in engineering. I mean, you had demolitions, and all of that.
Right. So you're a rifleman, engineer. Okay.
That was your main thing.
Right.
Be a rifle.
Okay. I'm asking this because of something Mom just told me. You never really at least spoke of anything related to like PTSD. Not like what they call PTSD, post-traumatic stress. A lot of the newer guys kind of, like my buddy goes through it. Certain like noises affects him. And just recently you said the thunder reminded you. You've never really said anything's done that before. At least you haven't told us.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll skip that.
Yeah.
Any medals?
Anyway.
Medals that you walked away with? Anything?
No.
Nothing really? Okay. That's all for that section. We'll skip ahead now to... I remember you telling me you wanted to be a PE teacher at one point.
A phys ed teacher?
Yeah.
I told you that?
Yeah.
I don't know why. And no way will I go to be a teacher.
You didn't want to like coach gym or phys ed or anything? You told me once.
I can't recall doing it. I don't know what I was doing it for, why I would do it.
We were at lunch. You might have...
Stay away from schools. I was not a
Right.
scholar.
Okay. That's funny. Okay, I forgot about this.
I enjoyed coaching,
Right.
what I did, but do it for a living.
Right.
It's hot outside. Those phys ed teachers stay outside all the time.
One of the stories that Mom's told me that I'd like for you to share is when you were 12, I think, you fractured your skull and you had to lay in bed for how long?
For some reason, 6 months is
The number.
what is my mind, but I can't believe that I laid there for 6 months. I know I laid there a long damn time, and My dad at one point took an iron skillet and put wax in it, melted it, and then took, I guess, paint. I don't know what he made a bullseye. And he took the wax out, put it in a cardboard box, and put it on the other side of the room, and gave me the BB gun. And I'm laying there on the bed, and that's what I did. I lay there doing that. But I'm gonna say 6 weeks, because I can't believe I laid there for 6 months. I laid without moving my head because they were afraid.
Right.
I had a fractured skull, and I guess at that time a fractured skull was pretty serious compared to today. You get a fractured skull and they say concussion and
Right.
I'll let you go home.
What'd you do to fracture your skull?
I got hit in the head with a baseball bat.
Okay.
I stepped in front of the batter.
Yeah, don't do that.
Catch it,
Yep.
and that's a no-no.
Yep. Was that your main position when you played? Was catcher?
It's one of them I like to.
Okay.
You know, and this was sandlocked at school.
Right, but
Playground. It wasn't organized or anything.
catching was your favorite. Okay. Couple more here. This one's from Tommy also. How different is Gulfport and the surrounding areas compared to like when you guys moved here? Like John's Pass.
When all of this school stuff going on now first started, one evening I got in the car, I wanted to leave, and I rode around Gulfport, and I wound up down on the beach. In getting to the beach, I saw about 4 people riding bicycles. No cars on the road, nobody out. And I'm thinking, boy, this is what it used to be like. I got down on the waterfront, not a store was open, nobody was out. And I thought, boy, this is what it was like 50 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Why? The only thing I saw was a couple of kids riding the bicycles, and that's what you saw too. You didn't see any fishermen, which you would have seen 50
Right.
years ago. But everything was so quiet. What it was like on John's Pass now compared to then, I don't know what it would be like because it's entirely different.
Right.
Nothing out there looks the same.
Okay. And let's see. All right, I got a couple more, but we're going to do one other thing because every time somebody does this for me, I've tried to get one question from Mackenzie to ask that person.
Mackenzie.
She has one question to ask you. Crawl under, honey. So, talking to the microphone. And what question do you want to ask Lum?
What was your favorite food when you were a
Here
child?
she goes, speaking Mackenzie talk again.
She wants to know what your favorite food was when you were a child.
You know, I don't know how long it was, but I used to love hominy.
What is that?
And
I don't
hominy
even
is a corn. I don't know how they do it, but it blows up to where it's as big as my fingernail, and it's white like that shirt. And it's hominy, it's corn. I used to like it. I can't stand it now. But that was when I was young, and I don't know. But other than that, if it was on the plate, it was eaten. That was it. I enjoyed it.
And that's funny because Robert Lum's the one that taught Daddy. You might not like it, but you have to try it at least once. And you do that now because that's what I told you. It's like you might not like it, but at least try it because you never know. There's a couple things that you found out that you liked. I didn't know I liked spinach.
Well, my mama used to tell me, try it, and if you like it, okay. If you don't, you try it. But we had to eat it anyway, whether we liked it or not, because that was it.
Good question.
There wasn't any McDonald's
No.
or anything like that.
Were you around when like McDonald's started? Like I didn't even think of that, like stuff like that. Like you weren't like there wasn't even McDonald's when you were that young.
No.
That's crazy.
No. You know, I can remember eating out one time in Birmingham, and it was our family, I don't remember my brothers being there. And my aunt's been there. I don't know what the celebration was, but it was at a Chinese restaurant in Birmingham. And it was a big deal to go there. No, it wasn't. You didn't go anywhere, you know.
Right.
I mean, hey, you stayed in your neighborhood and you ate at home or you ate at your relatives.
Right.
I hadn't thought about that in years.
I'd never even like thought about the fact that, because yeah, age wise you're 93, but you definitely live a lot younger than 93, and you present yourself much younger than that, which is always fun for us. So, what do you think would have been the biggest news story or event that has happened in your lifetime? You've gone through quite a bit, from the Great Depression now to this stupid COVID-19. You've had 9/11, different things like that. What do you consider would be the biggest thing that's happened?
Oh, World War II. to me,
Right.
because it encompassed the whole world.
And you were involved, so it's even bigger.
And then you got the atomic bomb. That's pretty big,
Yep.
you know. I don't know. I guess a lot of it just the individuals, what affected them, you know.
Right.
And something like World War II affected everybody. People holler about, they want to go back and do things like they did 6 months ago.
Right.
You wouldn't do that back during World War II.
Right.
You wouldn't go against what the people that have the say tell you what to do or what know what's going on with this virus.
Right.
I don't think it's over with.
You know, no, for me, the virus, when it first kind of started and everything and all the hoopla about it, I didn't buy into it as much. Now that I've seen more about it, it kind of worries me a little. Not as much as the media wants it to worry me, but like for someone who's as hard-headed as you when it comes to worrying about stuff, how have you felt about the whole thing? Is it something that you're kind of worried about?
Yeah, I'm worried about it, but it ain't gonna do any good. Hell, I'd drop dead sitting here talking to you.
I'd rather you not.
but yeah.
But yeah.
So I mean, I'm at an age they say that's susceptible to it.
Right.
So I don't do what some people do. I mean, I don't wear a mask like they should. I go to the store. You know, I don't crowd anybody, and I don't let them crowd me. But still, I feel like I got to make some decisions on my own. And if they tell me to stay in the house for another 6 weeks, other than going to the store, I'm gonna stay in the house. You know.
Because I was gonna say you got pretty good at saying that. Aside from having Mom come over to help with stuff, you really didn't want us coming over.
No.
So.
I don't. I'd love it. I mean, she's here, but
Right.
I don't want to hug her.
I know.
You know, and I'm not going to. But
Okay. It's good to hear like that from a different point of view. This is a good one too. What would you consider as the best or the greatest technological achievement that you've seen? Now, things have gotten
what?
from
Greatest thing that I did?
no, just technological achievement that you've seen in your lifetime.
Oh.
Like you've seen us go from the radio to the TV, from the TV to computers to phones that we carry with us everywhere.
You know what a cat whisperer radio is?
I do not.
Okay. Well, I don't know how they blame you make it, but you can take the earphone thing like this,
Right.
and my dad would make the radio. And they call it a cat whisperer, because they had the little wire. Oh gosh, you thought of that when you said that, and I can't now describe it. But you could only get one station. And I remember this was in the Depression, because we didn't have any lights, and we'd be sitting there by the fireplace, and he would work on this thing with earphones, and then turn the earphone around where you could hear. You know, but I think electronics is probably one of the biggest things that's
Right.
come out, starting from something like that to what you got here now.
Right. So I mean, as technology evolves, it almost kind of, like if it evolves in this generation, the generations above it don't normally go to it. So like me, I have the laptop, I have all the fancy phones and stuff, whereas you just have a basic setup.
Yeah, I play games on that.
Right.
Thing. Yeah,
But that's what I was going to say, is your computer is pretty advanced for someone of your generation. So you've kind of at least, I remember that I'm talking about that when you moved from just a regular TV to the big one you have out there, you didn't want HD. And I tried telling you that it's a clear picture, and you just, nope, I don't want it. I don't want it. Because that was the mindset. Now you have it, and you can tell the pretty big difference as it progresses. So it's weird to think that you sat around listening to a little radio in front of the fireplace, and now we have TVs that are almost on real time, as clear as you and I are sitting here.
we're doing what you're doing now.
Yeah, and even this is kind of foreign to you, because you don't exactly know what's going to. So like with what this is a podcast is almost an evolution of talk radio that you always listen to on AM. And I always found it funny, because I know you always had on AM radio.
Right.
And I always thought as a kid, why does Grandpa want to sit and listen to people talk? That sounds so boring. And it was probably about 5-6 years ago when I first heard my first podcast, and it was somebody else, and they were just talking about a subject that I was interested in. And I realized I just sat for an hour and listened to two people talk. And I was like, oh, now I get it. and I understood. And then I go on and I found other podcasts about specific genre. There's one about baseball. There's some about entertainment, boxing and MMA and stuff like that. So unlike like mine, though, it's just a general conversation about whoever I have with me. So trying to get you to understand that, like, hey, people kind of want to know your story. That's why, I wanted you to do this. Thank you for at least sitting down and trying. I know you don't know, but it's going to be pretty cool for a lot of people to watch this and realize, oh, I didn't know he was from Alabama. I didn't know his bottom teeth came out. Oh my gosh. All right. When did you move to Gulfport?
When did I what?
Move to Gulfport from Johns Pass.
One of the biggest things that I did was America Grand.
Right.
And
Was she in Gulfport?
no.
No.
They lived on 4th Street when they first came here, and then they moved to 2nd Avenue South at about 24th Street. Then they went to Sunset Beach. And,
I didn't know she lived on Sunset Beach.
Huh?
I didn't know she lived on Sunset Beach.
There where the traffic light is.
Right.
You
The
turn
one.
to go, if you go beyond that little strip store and look back in there, you'll see 1 or 2 white cottages.
That's where they would have been.
But they were up on the road.
Okay.
The road's been changed. All that's been changed now. When we were down at Johns Pass,
Okay.
I came home from the service. Warren said, I'm going to go down to Madeira Beach. The graduating class, some of the girls have got together and rented a cottage. Now, that was common.
Right.
Do that. Your seniors, it run a cottage for a week. So he asked me to go with him. So I went with him, and he told me, he said, "You'll see somebody you know." Well, sure enough, there were a couple of kids I knew from the beach and went to school with. Of course, they were seniors and graduating, and I hadn't even finished yet. So I went down there, and that's where I first saw Grandma.
It was at the party.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, the cottage, it wasn't a party.
It was
But-
a get together. There was no drinking or smoking or anything
Right.
like that. In fact, she and a girl had gone to the grocery store, Smith's, now, and got some groceries. And coming back, they flagged down a guy that had a tar truck. And he sprayed their side of the road with old oil and stuff that he got from Florida Power and Gentel and or Peninsula. They flagged him down, and he gave him a ride on the back of that filthy truck.
Right.
And they got up, and that's when I was introduced to her. And
So you got to see the first basic meeting of Grandma was her riding on the back of a tar truck.
we were talking about that shortly before she passed away. It was something that I couldn't think of the girl's name, and she knew her. She remembered her, but I can't tell you today who she was.
That's so funny.
That's when I first met her.
And it's so funny to think of that because you think of the girl riding on the back of a tar truck, how kind of like carefree and wild she must be. To me, Grandma was always cross-legged, sitting in her princess chair. Do this. Do this. She was the queen.
Designate her.
She
Designate.
she wanted to be involved in everything, but she didn't want to do anything. But that's really cool. So you guys were both on the beach, but you found Gulfport, basically. Well, you knew Gulfport.
I went to school at Biston for the one year
Mhm.
before I went over to St. Pete High, and St. Pete High is when I went into the service. She went to St. Pete High. When they came down there, she was in ninth grade, so she went to St. Pete High.
Right.
And that was the year that I went to St. Pete High. We were in the same class.
Really?
St. Pete High. And I don't remember her, but she told me one time, she said, "I remember you from school." And I said, laughed, you know. She said, "Yeah." She said, "Mrs. Davis's room." Well, Davis taught world history, and I loved world history. Well, she loved history too. So she tells me things that happened in that class that there's no way she knew it if she wasn't there.
Right.
So we were on the, but I don't remember her. I remember that there were two girl sisters from New York that joined our class. But
Her and Aunt Arlene.
they were, that was, yeah,
Right.
Arlene, yeah. So, oh yeah.
That just made me think of something I wanted. You were talking about like world history being that class. How different is world history for us like it would have been for you? Because like world history nowadays, like for Kenzie, she's going to be learning about all the stuff basically you went through.
Your mother, Grandma, and I talked about that when your mother was getting ready to go to Tom Howard, because you were end of school, you were up to Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
So you come back the next year and you get in and you start all over again. You come to Civil War and you quit. You never went. We never went beyond that. So when she went to Tom Howard, well, I asked him, I said, "Are you going to teach up to the Civil War and then quit every year?" He said, "No." He said, "We're going to do history all the way up." I said, "Okay, that's good." Because I didn't know anything about history, Civil War, World War I, and the Spanish-American War and all that. Just what I read, not what I learned in school.
Right.
So they had something that we were concerned about. Your grandma felt the same way,
Okay.
that we didn't get all of the history. I don't know what they're teaching now.
Now they learn about things that even I've lived through, like 9/11 and stuff like that. That's history now. And
Yeah, yesterday was history.
yeah, they're going to learn about the COVID-19 later down the line. And I don't think they don't teach a lot of stuff like that in history. Like when I was taking history class, we didn't learn about like the flu pandemic when it first started.
McDonald's been there forever as far as she's concerned.
Yep.
You know, and it's not there.
That's so cool.
Things change.
Right.
That's why you try to describe what it's like here or John's Pass. I don't know how to do that.
Right.
Because it's so changed. The bridge has changed. The road has changed. Places. I just found out the other day. I don't know, but at John's Pass there was a house called the Rock House. I don't know if you ever saw it or knew it, but it's on the Gulf side. Well, that house belonged to a family, a man and woman. I don't know his name, but she was Mrs. Joseph. They were Russian. They were lawyers, and they worked out of Tampa. He spoke good English. She had an accent. Mother said she won her cases because of the accent. The judge granted her favors because he couldn't understand her. I don't know that. My aunt's in-laws lived right behind that rock house. I think his house is still there. If it is, last time I was in it, somebody had been living in it without furniture and all, just sleeping on the beach there. But they tore that rock house down this past week. It shouldn't have been tore down, but
Right.
some outfit bought all of that property out there that we used to live and run around living. And they changed what they're going to do with it. Who knows?
Somebody that they don't know the history about it, and
Well, it's a big outfit. I think it's a Japanese. I'm not positive. You'd have to talk to Leon about all. He knows a lot of that stuff that I hear from others.
right. Were you the only one of the brothers that was in the service or anything?
No, Warren was in the 82nd Airborne. He went in after I came home, and then Leon went in the Navy.
See, I didn't know Uncle Leon was.
in the Navy during the Korean.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother subject there.
I went back in the service, but they called me back in, and during the Korean thing, so all three of us were in at the time. John Doc's the only one that didn't serve.
Okay. The little one, the young one, the young one.
Yep.
Yep. Let's see. Other questions we have. I kind of want to still go what we were, before I do more questions. I'm going to keep going where we were going. So you guys came to Gulfport. Did you go to the 2-story first down the road from here? That was at the first Gulfport house?
No. We're on 14th Avenue.
Oh yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah,
Okay.
Next door to Johnny May.
Right.
And, yeah. We pulled up. We had 3 places to look at.
Right.
This was after I came home. One of them was off of Central Avenue behind the substation at Pasadena, about 3rd Avenue North. The other one was over here on 7th Avenue, 8th Avenue, about 8th Avenue and 52nd Street. You know, the trailer park that backed up the Little League
Yeah.
thing? Okay, right across from the trailer park was a lot that we looked at. And then the lot here on 14th Avenue and 56th Street. We pulled up in the car to look at the lot. House right here, Sam Harrell. Went to school with him, lived on the beach. His dad and mother were on, his dad and mother owned most of the property on Sunset Beach. And Sam was, and his family, over here was Jack and Johnny May. Johnny May we went to school with her. So there's 2 schoolmates that we were between. Your mother and I, they say, this is, come on, I said, this is it. This is where we want to be. There might have been Jack's house, Jack and Johnny May. Nobody down to the corner. Margie Hines and Bob. And, oh God, Mears on the corner. So it's 2 houses there. Benedict's 4, 3, Whitehead's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 houses on that block. And all of them, with the exception of the White House, were returnees from the service, veterans, and they had GI loans. And that house, the the son bought the house and put his mother and dad in it, you know.
Right.
And we lived there until your Aunt Mary told her mother that that house is too small for us.
Aunt Mary told her that. How old?
We need to get another house because your brother was born.
Right.
That's three girls in the house, and there wasn't. So these people, oh gosh. The girl was in a scout troop with your grandmother and Mary. Ah, God. He was an engineer for the county, and they wanted to move over to the golf course. They had a house over there they wanted to buy, and we struck a deal up. We took over his mortgage, and that house I sold to my mother and dad. They moved off the beach eventually, and we moved into the two-story. And your mother was 6 weeks old, maybe 6 months. I don't know, about 6 to 8 months, something. And we moved in there. The road didn't go anywhere. This road was Cape Cod Lane. That's the name of this road, Cape Cod Lane. You look at that. There's two Cape Cod houses down there. The one at the end and ours. And right across the street here on the other side of the yellow box, the up third. And the road ended down there by Campbell's at the end of the third.
Yeah, it didn't curve around near the yacht club. Oh, wow.
And all of that was fill out there. All of it. And that was over here was the park. Did you?
I remember that. Before they. Yep.
Over there. Right. Yeah. And they went out and dug that ditch, big lake in there, and got that out. Because it flooded. That flooded going out up to the road.
Oh, wow.
When they had a good one. And we moved into there, and then I came on lunch one day, and she says, "I want you to come down and look at this house on the corner." I didn't like that house.
You didn't?
I didn't like that house. So we came down here. I come down here with her. The woman that owned it and her daughter. They were just going to put it on the market with your grandmother.
Grandma's already working real estate at the time?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
She was working in real estate when it started over here just before your mother was born. Yeah.
Okay.
When Susie, I guess she did when Susie was there.
Okay.
She was in real estate here. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you guys came to where you still are today.
Hmm?
You're still here today to this one. And this is the only house that you've been in since I've been alive.
Right.
Is this layout and everything the same as when you bought it? You didn't do any kind of, wow. And this is it's like brick, concrete. It's a concrete house, right? Yeah. So it's not going anywhere. That's cool. So you guys moved out. Now, 3 girls. My mom was the youngest. Then there's Aunt Susie in the middle. And Aunt Mary's the oldest. Did Aunt Mary go to college before you came to this house?
No.
Or everybody lived here?
Down there.
So everybody came down here.
Your mother's the only one that came down here.
Oh, everybody was gone except Mom. I was wondering because it's only a 2-bedroom house.
Yeah.
So Aunt Mary and Aunt Susie.
Married, and Susie and Mike got married right after that happened.
Okay. Okay. So Mom's the only one that actually got to live here. Mom is the only one that lived here then, out of the girls. Okay.
Well, Susie and the boys lived here with us for a short while.
Right.
That was permanent. Just like.
Right. Okay. Been here ever since and got to watch everything change around you.
Yeah. Well, I'm the oldest one on the block. John and Jerry are next.
I would think they'd be next.
Yeah.
Okay. And I pretty much, at least until my teens, grew up here, just because Mom and Dad both worked.
Yeah, that's it.
So
that house right there was there.
that one.
2 stories down was there. There were
Right.
2 houses. Well, there were 3 houses three houses on that side.
Yeah, there was only 3 when I was little on that side of the road. Because I remember I could just go right across the street to the park.
Yeah.
Yep. And that one's only a few years old.
Go out there and play football in that lot over there.
Yep. Because whenever it came to Christmas, Thanksgiving, anything, it's always been here. And I remember a lot of Thanksgivings, Mikey and I would go across the street to the park, and Bobby Powell, whoever was here, we would always go across the street. And so I kind of miss being able to do that a lot. But that's cool stuff. You worked for Florida Power for a long time, right?
39 years.
Retired.
Yeah.
From Florida Power. So you were in that house when you started?
No.
You were still over there. Okay.
Oh no, heck, I was 6 months after we got married. I was working for a service station in town. I was opening night manager of a service station on 4th Street and 3rd Avenue North.
Right.
And one afternoon, your grandmother and great-grandmothers, both of them, drove up in the car and told me that your grandma was pregnant.
Oh, Aunt Mary?
That was...
They just drove to your work to tell you that?
Huh?
They drove to your work? They could have waited till you got home.
No, I think grandmas wanted to spread the word. I don't know, you know. And we've been married, that was around June. We got married in November, February. Yeah, that's right, February. So somewhere between February it happened and February and June. But that's when they come and they told me that she was.
That'll make the rest of the workday go a little weird.
Hell yeah. Well, that's when they informed me that their grandchild was not going to have a father working in a service station, so I had to get out and get another job.
That was Grandma's mom? Oh, Grandma said the same thing?
My mother and her mother. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I went to Thrill Hills where one of the milk companies, I don't want to say board.
Over there near downtown? That's Thrill Hill? Okay.
Yep. I went down there, put an application in. I went somewhere else, I don't remember. But then the third one I went to was Florida Power. And they sent me upstairs and met Blondie Bunnell was his name.
His name. Blondie.
He was an elderly guy. He wasn't blonde then. He was white hair. And he got on the phone and he called Mr. Elkins down at the line department on 3rd Street. Says, I got a live one for you. I can remember him saying that. And he said he's newly married and going to be a family man. So he told me to go down there and talk to Mr. Elkins. So I did. And he did his damnedest to turn me off.
Right.
Going there, tried to get. He said I was making more money where I was, which I was. And I knew I had met him. He used to come in the service station at night and gas up his car. I didn't know who he was and didn't know anything about it, because when I went in there for the interview, I looked at him and said, I think I know you. And he said, yeah, I think I know you too. You work at the service station. And I don't know if that had anything to do with why he tried to talk me out of it, but he did, and he didn't succeed.
Right.
So,
Oh, somebody's at the door. Well, we're gonna. Is the front or the side door?
Yeah.
We might have to pause for a second.
Hi, how are you? I'm with the city. I'm here to do your tree permit.
Who?
We're here to do your tree permit, to get your tree.
Tree permit.
Do you need us? Yeah, do you need us for anything? Okay, yes,
He's doing your tree permit.
thank you.
Guy from the city is doing the tree permit.
He's
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. I didn't know they did that.
I didn't either.
Where'd he put it?
He's gonna go look at the tree.
He's gonna get the permit, he's gonna go look at it to fill it out.
I'm just gonna leave this in.
Well, I just heard.
Kenzie, close the door.
They're gonna be here and do the
Did
training.
you close it?
No. Okay. So you were a lineman then,
Oh, I became a lineman.
right?
I started out as a groundman and,
I don't know. They're gonna go look see what the guy was doing with the tree,
started out as a groundman
right?
and, stayed in the line department. Went, made lineman, went night trouble. Couldn't work at night by myself. When you were off during the middle of the week, nobody else was off. You had plenty of family time, but you could go fishing by yourself,
Right.
you know. And so I went back to doing line work and became a line foreman for my crew. And when they abolished that, I went as a switchman. I went about 20 years as a switchman.
Okay.
Man, that was the last job I had.
And then you're eligible to retire, and
I was able to retire. Well, I could have retired earlier than that. They had figures out, and I did it. I took it.
there you go.
Grandma says, "Well, I'm not going to retire." I says, "It's okay with me."
Grandma never retired. She worked all the way through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
She never officially retired.
Right. No. Another good subject here. Random quick question. Do you remember your first car?
My first what?
Car.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's where I bought it when I came home from the service.
all right.
It was a Packard, and I got suckered in. I don't remember how I got rid of it, but I got rid of it. Yeah, it had been drove hard, put away wet.
All right. Because I always remember the one I remember the most was the big green one, big green truck that you had pick up. Well, it was a what was that? What was the big green truck, Ma? Yeah, Dad ended up getting it after you. It was
That's the one that Susie and
no, it was you got from Bill.
Hmm?
I think you got it from Bill.
and that's what you and Walter,
Yeah,
and then you sold to the guy down.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you,
and y'all were supposed to take the trailer hitch off, and you didn't.
after that,
That was an expensive trailer hitch on there. I should never have given it to him.
and then after that, you had the little Toyota. It was a Toyota, right? I think it was like a little
Yeah.
that you were supposed to give to me,
Yeah.
but you ended up giving it to Mikey,
Well, it was Grandma's decision.
right? How'd that work out?
And it worked out all right. He had a wreck and
Totaled
got
it.
rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what he said it totaled it. I don't know. I don't believe him.
Yeah, you should have gave it to me.
I think he had a wreck and he didn't total it. He just didn't want to repair it. I don't know.
Because after that, you
I
had
gave you the other.
you after that you had the Red Ranger that you ended up giving to me, and I drove that hard.
And the heater
Yep.
and air conditioning.
I drove that thing for years.
Yep.
Yep, I had to get rid of that one because of the little one, because I couldn't have Kenzie in the front seat kicking the wheel like she was. Oh, all right. Bring up a subject that you are very fond of, and that's fishing. We all, at least the grandsons, all grow up knowing that's what the biggest thing is. I mean, you look behind us here, we've got boxes of lures and stuff and memorabilia. Mom and the girls grew up. Where did you guys always go? Chapels?
Chapel, Salapopka.
Salapopka. Me, I grew up
Lake Mary's at now.
right, but I grew up on Lake Panisofsky at Idlewild. So that's what I'm going to talk about because it's my show.
Yeah. Well, the reason you showed up there was because Chapel sold,
Right.
and we spent we spent more than one, but one weekend we spent riding around up there looking, and we found
I-
Firefighting.
Right.
And they had a swimming pool.
Yep. And grandma, that's all grandma needed.
Yeah, because at the other place she was able to swim in the lake.
Right.
But you couldn't swim in the lake at Panasaki, but they had a swimming pool. So
Oh, you went up there with Mikey once and swam in the lake on accident.
what?
You fell out of the boat with Mikey, so you swam in the lake a little bit.
Yeah. He didn't see that.
Right.
He saw me getting out. He didn't see me going in. I don't know now how that happened.
I remember it probably wasn't even Panasofsky, it was probably Salopopka, but Dad tells this story. And it was the first time he realized not to mess with his father-in-law. I guess Dad hooked you or something, or you hooked yourself in the arm, and you basically, as calm as possible, took a knife, gave it to Dad, and said, "Hey, you're going to have to cut this out." And my dad thought, that's the strongest man I've ever... And like that's just who you were, though, because you were... Me, I have a weird fear about like bees and stuff. You'll just grab a nest and throw it down. Me, that drives me nuts. I don't know how you did that. And then also, you chopped your finger halfway off because Mom was swinging on the swing with a machete, right? Or a hatchet?
That was me. Yeah.
Right.
She said something to me.
In mid-chop, you
Yeah,
looked.
I looked at the same time I was stopping. Yeah.
And you just, oh, I better wrap that up with my handkerchief. And Mom said that you just calmly walked in to Grandma and said, "I think we need to go to the hospital." You think your finger's hanging off?
Grandma didn't think so.
No?
No.
Man.
She said, "Oh, that's all right. It ain't gonna hurt nothing." No.
Grandma was oddly tough, too. For as sweet as she was oddly tough about things like that. "Oh, you're fine. You don't need to do that."
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, Panasofsky is where I grew up with you. Now, we would... During like almost every summer we would go up there, at least when I was a kid. And when we went up there, we went up there. Aunt Mary met us, Aunt Susie, Josie, Cindy, they would come down and we would all hang out there. But I remember the first time you took me up there, just you and I was probably 12, maybe 10. And I was ready. I was like, "Oh, it's just me and Grandpa. It's our first fishing trip, just us." And you're like, "All right, let's go to bed. We're going to wake up and go fishing." And I was like, "All right, cool." 5 a.m, you're like, "Wake up." And I'm thinking, hold on, 5 o'clock. That's a little early. I think you made bacon or something. That was it, bacon and toast. And there we are on the water until about 10, 11. Came in for lunch, which was Spam and eggs. Back out on the water until dinner time. Then it was dinner in bed. And it was probably like a Friday to a Sunday or something, but man, that was the best. And I love Idlewild. I know Mikey does too. Did Mikey go to Salopopka? No. So Mikey grew up at Idlewild also.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so Mikey grew up with Panasofsky also. So he knows it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I bet he would love to be here for some of this conversation. Because I remember we would get on the boat and there's certain spots I always remember going to. As soon as you left the dock, we would go out. Sometimes we'd go to the left. There was a lot of lily pads there that you like to fish. And then there's also spots straight out almost to the other side that you would like to go to. Those are the two that I remember the most. And you always talk to yourself. Come on. I'm like, who's he talking to? But you would always get it. So it's like little things like that.
Yeah.
The only time that I ever freaked out was I remember, and this was, I was well into my teens this time, but a gator was like just far enough ahead. I was like, "Oh, look, a gator." And you're like, thump. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And you're trying to hit it and you're like, "Grab the paddle just in case." I'm like, "No, I don't want that thing coming anywhere near us." Mom said something about wrestling a gator. Did you?
Yeah.
What was,
Not exactly.
what?
But the woman that cleaned the house for us
Right.
knew I could like the cast net. She asked me why I didn't go down to Lake Maggiore and cast net. And I said, "Well, I don't know anything about Lake Maggiore." So she had a friend that was going to meet us down there. Elijah met us down there. And your mother and Grandma was in the car. And he was walking me around the shore. Said, "Oh, you can throw here, it's clear. You can throw here, it's clear." And so I threw. And I said, Elijah, I thought you said there wasn't any stumps or nothing down there. He said, no, it's clear. I said, well, I've caught something. He said, there ain't nothing down there. Well, by that time it started to move. I said, well, I think I got a gator.
Oh.
Well, the water was down where the bank was like this. We got to pull the rope till it come up, and it come up like that. And it tried to come over. The car came, your grandma and your mother got out of the car and were coming down there. And I told them to get back because I didn't know what was going to happen. We come over the bank with this thing. This car stopped, and these 3 or 4 guys, blacks, got out. They were well dressed. The car was from New York, so I guess they were from New York. And they come running over, and Elijah turns around and he chased them away. They wanted to see the gator.
Right.
We ain't even got him up to the beach, the beach yet. And he chased them away. Well, we pulled him up over there, and he's wrapped up in that net. Well, I don't know why, but when he hit the top, he just started going crazy. He tore that net all to heck and got out, back in the water he went.
Oh, that's close.
That was it. I took the net to Emma Pollard. She made nets. I told her I had caught a gator. Could she repair it? She said, yeah. Well, when I got it about 3 weeks later, she said, don't you ever bring me another net. You catch a gator.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And did you ever get any from Panasofsky? I know you always tried to plug one.
Huh?
Did you ever plug one in Panasofsky, a gator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I brought one up to the boat. The first one that I ever did, I brought it up to the boat and I hit him on the head with a paddle. And I said, well, he's dead. And he didn't move, you know. And Bill and I sat there looking at him a while and I said, well, let's throw him in the boat. And I reached down. By the time I grabbed him, man, he took off.
Oh.
So I'd only stunned him, knocked him out. Man, he took
That'll make your heart jump a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So from then on, well, I never trusted them. I never kept but one. Kept
Right.
one of our fish fries up at on Salapopka,
Right.
and I put it in with the fish, and everybody ate it. Nobody knew they ate gator until I told them.
Right.
They didn't believe it. But I did.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And Bill's one of your best friends, but you always said like one of the worst fishing buddies because he always fell asleep in the boat.
Yeah. Yeah, he can fall asleep quicker than anybody. Yeah.
And I know he's going to listen to it, and I know Mikey will still say that he's a better fisherman than you. But that's only because...
He wishes.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
He wishes.
He thinks he's a better fisherman, but he thinks he's better at everything.
Yeah.
He's not great.
His only problem is boats.
Right. Everything he touches
Motors.
breaks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He just needs to have a friend with a boat. That's all he needs. He doesn't need his own boat. With all the lures that you have, not all of these are ones that you've used. See, these are just ones that you've collected.
Some of them came from the bait house.
Right.
We had at John's Pass. Some of them did. And some of them, I fished with some of them. And,
Right.
Brian Leonard goes out.
Laner, yeah.
Yeah, he gives me some. He'll find some when he goes out looking at these garage sales.
Right. He'll still come by with some fish too, won't he?
Yeah,
Every now and then?
lately, but yeah, he used to bring for your grandma.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Through her chemo treatment, like he brought some smoked fish over, and
Right.
She liked it, and so he kept her.
There you go.
Yeah, he does a good job.
For me, the one I remember the most is the pawpaw lure.
Well,
That's the top water. It's usually about that big.
yeah.
Little 2 spinners at the end, 2 to 3 hooks. That's the one I've always remembered. That's become my favorite just because it's the one I remember growing up. What do you think is would you consider your best bait or lure?
That pawpaw's one of the best for me. I've got a lot of them that are similar.
Mhm.
They're not the same, but they're different. But I like the top water plug.
Yeah. Repella?
Propeller front and back.
Right.
You know, 2 of them, and it makes a lot of noise.
Yeah. I've always remembered that one the most.
Yeah.
What do we Let's see. You had a neighbor that used to sit on a ladder outside the house. Mom said that. Sam Harrell.
That was over on 14th Avenue. Yeah. Well, Sam's wife worked as a waitress at night, and he was an electrician. When he'd get home and feed the girls supper and all and put them to bed, why, he couldn't come in the house because he couldn't hear kids. But if he had the windows open on the bedroom, he'd put a ladder up by our living room window, and couch was right there, and we would talk and watch TV. He didn't have TV,
Right.
so he'd watch the programs with us. We had the windows open. This was in the summertime, the spring.
So you just sit on a ladder.
Oh yeah, we used to. I don't know where we found a ping pong table, but we set it up in the backyard over on 14th Avenue, and I strung lights from the house over above the table out in the yard, and at night we'd play ping pong, and stuff like that.
Right.
It was a great neighborhood. It was a neighborhood of, like I said, all veterans. I mean, I guess we had one, and Susie was born too. There was two here. That's 4, 5, 7. They had 4. That's 11, 12. I think there's 15 kids in the neighborhood and 40 dogs.
40? It felt like?
That's what it seemed like.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a young block, and everybody would get together and talk, and, just
Back when people were nice and happy instead of...
it's different from here.
Right.
I don't know anybody. I know Victor.
That's only because he's outside all the time.
Yeah, but I don't know anything about him. He's retired Navy. I know that. But I don't know this guy over here. Speak to him.
Right.
There are no kids in this block.
Not anymore.
Never has really been any.
Well, there was me.
Dude out on the end, Campbell's. And
Yep. Well, even when I was around, there was me.
Yeah.
There was Jolene.
Who?
Jolene.
Tony.
Jolene.
Oh, Jolene. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But I mean,
And Jesse. That was the only other boy.
yeah, David.
Jesse. Little Jesse.
Oh, Jesse
Yeah.
was next door.
Yeah, right next door to Jolene.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the last kid I remember on the block that's past me would have been Leah next door. When Leah yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bill and God.
I don't remember her name either.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the most I remember. You were a volunteer fireman also.
Yeah.
How long did you do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
That was
10 years, 50.
was that during Florida Power or after?
During.
It was same time.
Yeah.
And that was for Gulfport.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was all volunteer firemen.
Right. At the time.
That same bunch of guys that were in Little League just about,
Oh.
volunteer firemen.
Right.
A lot of them.
Anything that you remember from that was like a standout moment, or just a very basic?
So I resigned because I missed the fire, and I felt bad about it, but
Oh, wow.
I had worked, I don't know, during a storm, and I had worked on, so I didn't hear the alarm, and there was a person died, and I just decided that
That was it.
because of it.
Right. All right.
But other than that, it was a good bunch of guys, and it was fine,
Right.
They decided they needed to have paid firemen.
Right.
That's what they got.
Man. There's a lot of like stories about Gulfport. And so like right there by Stetson, you've got that big house that Babe Ruth had built when he was in spring training. Do you remember anything about that, or like?
I've heard Babe Ruth lived there. I've heard he's done several houses.
Right.
I don't know that that's true. That's the first time I ever heard that he built the house.
Well, not him, but he had it built for him. Yeah.
That's the first time I ever heard.
Because the Yankees had spring training down here for a while.
Yeah.
I think before the Cardinals did, right? Cardinals were in St. Pete. Oh, Yankees were in Tampa the whole time. He just
They were here at the same time. I don't
Right.
know which came first.
okay.
Yeah.
And then I know that there's also that they said Al Capone used to use the Gulfport Marina.
I've never heard.
Yeah, because he had that house in St. Pete, right off of I think 22nd South, and then I've heard that he used to use the Gulfport Marina for a lot of imports, which I always thought would have been an interesting thing to.
Yeah, I never heard that.
Right. All right, I'm running low on things to talk about. Funny enough, but I'm sure there's going to be another time where I'm going to get people who would listen to this and they're going to ask more questions. So I might have to have you on again. But was it easier than you thought? Just
Yeah, it's all right.
yeah, it's all right.
I remembered some things that I hadn't
Right.
thought about in a long time.
That's what's kind of cool about it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure there's going to be other things that I'm going to think of later, but we'll end it here. It's about almost an hour and a half that we talked. So that was pretty good.
Man, this time for a beer.
Favorite beer, all-time favorite beer. What is it?
The next one.
That's perfect ending. I'm ending it on that. Thank you, Grandpa. And that's it. Bye.